All right, the top 3 things that we learned from teaching plant walks this summer. My name is Malcolm Saunders. This is...
Yeah, and Denis Manzer here. Wow.
We led, I don't know how many numbers of plant walks, a lot we did together, number we did individually, and we were kind of just sitting here doing a recap on things that we learned, maybe some of the top questions that we got asked throughout that time, and wanted to hop on here and share.
Yeah, what a season it was. Like, phew. It's unfortunately coming to somewhat of an end here with the frosts hitting the landscape. We're definitely looking forward to the winter here, which is...
That's right. The foraging actually never really stops. There's a season to everything, and
But it's the fall equinox, and we're kind of just looking back to this last season and how lovely it was, but also we learned some lessons, hey Malcolm.
Yeah, totally. And I'd say that first one that we want to share came out of a question. It's like, what's the number one book you would recommend, for those that came out on these walks, or even people that were just kind of coming in the store, like, oh, I can't make it on a walk. Like, do you have a book that you recommend? Yeah. And
honestly, that's really hard to answer for Denis, because my collection of her books numbers in the hundreds.
Totally.
The number one I do suggest is not this one. Although this one is pretty close.
That's true, yeah.
It's actually the Edible and Medicinal Plants of the Rockies book.
Yeah, in this whole
from
series.
The same series,
totally.
Yes.
Like, what I love about this...
Lone Pine.
Yeah, and this is good that we're showing you kind of the more kind of upper generality is, you might live in BC, in which case, plants of coastal British Columbia, like you can really like narrow in specific to your region.
Yeah, the Edible and Medicinal Plants of Canada is useful because we do have some of these plants across the continent.
Yeah, so if one's a traveler and you are going to be venturing through the provinces, that's the one you want to get. It's the broadest.
These ones are great because they break down the plants into food, medicine, and technological uses.
Totally.
Rather than just identification.
Very easy to navigate in terms of families, the pictures, and it actually works as a field guide.
Otherwise, like probably one of the books that really has influenced and inspired a lot of people, hey Malcolm.
Totally.
Beverly Gray's Boreal Herbal.
Yeah.
This is not a field guide.
unless you're up for carrying a heavy backpack.
Yeah.
I've done it in the past. Again, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous in terms of its pictures.
Really does well going through all the different plants you'll find in the Boreal, and a lot of them grow here too in Calgary.
Yeah, and it is actually written from a herbalist perspective.
Medicinal uses.
Yeah.
And then the second part of the book is also fantastic.
Yeah.
Medicinal preparations and recipes.
That's it. That's kind of where the rubber hits the road in terms of, okay, you're learning about the plants. She really does a great job in, illustrating how to use them, how to turn them into different food and medicine. Now, we recently, and actually almost on every single walk, we found at least one specimen of mushrooms because, those that are into plants are often also into fungi. And when it comes to books that are specific to fungi, again, that's why there's no just one book. Like this one is actually just plants, and you're not going to find any references to mushrooms. It really needs to be its own study.
Mushrooms of Western Canada by Helena is fantastic. It's all illustrations, but they are amazing for being able to identify the key characteristics to identify mushrooms.
Yeah, we've got, and this will be like just mushrooms in general. You can narrow it down to medicinal mushrooms or edible mushrooms. And 2 other books of note are The Fungal Pharmacy by Robert Rogers. So he has kind of his large, newer edition, which is more your desk reference for medicinal mushrooms. And then his earlier print of that same book, which is more, can be like, a guide that you're going to carry around. Now, there's another book specific, and that's for medicinal mushrooms. Then for edible mushrooms, culinary ones, and plus a little bit of crossover to the medicinal world, is All That the Rain Promises and
All
More.
That the Rain Does Promise and More.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic one. So that is to say a long-winded answer that there is no one book. And hopefully that does give you a scope of the type of book you'll be looking for, or books, shall I say, to kind of put it together. And I know, we carry a few of them. We don't always have them all in stock all the time, but you're a big fan of, those gems that you can pick up online or secondhand bookstores. It's why your collection now reaches into the hundreds.
Pascal Baudard's Wildcrafted Cuisine is
it's
fantastic
amazing
too.
Yeah, more the culinary aspect. So, all right.
There's something to be said for reading about the plants, but of course, the reason our plant walks are so popular is because most people really want those tactical, hands-on experience to really be able to identify the plants.
No, for sure, and mushrooms, right? There's that, you take that leap from page to physical reality and go, okay, the confidence that comes with that when someone says, yes, this is it, you've got it, this is the one.
And that kind of brings us to why what you were so surprised about, hey Malcolm, this is our second real lesson from this season's plant walk, is that some people came to every single plant walk.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and which was awesome, an amazing commitment to their learning, their journey. And we saw there was a couple of people in particular, one woman who we won't mention by name, but give her shout out and props and honors to being committed. The difference between day one and where she was at in the middle of the summer was phenomenal. Her level of knowledge, her level of inspiration, and I think it just reinforces this point that the first plant walk is the most important and significant, because it really does start you on that path. It really solidifies the knowledge, whether you have zero experience or you've been referencing a book. It brings it all home. And I mean, how you and I learned was, yes, through books, but I would say primarily it was from going on plant walks and consistently doing it.
Plant walks with Yarrow Willard, plant walks with Dr. Terry Willard, plant walks with Robert Rogers,
Blaine and Druzik,
Julie Walker,
and every person offered a different approach, insight, experience, and that's really kind of the gem of, if you want to be proficient at this with yourself, is to continue to get out there, reference the books, but go on these plant walks with different people at different times of year that have a different focus. And then that is how you build success. You're going to build the knowledge where you'll be like Denis. In 10 years, you can be leading your own plant walks.
I would sign up myself.
That's right. We
I'd
all
probably be there.
Can learn from each other. So number 3 is this kind of insight. And, I had this reflection this morning as someone had put a comment to my last post. I mentioned, hey, we're going on this plant walk, and I'd kind of given some insights into, here's Labrador tea, and here's what it's good for, and here's yarrow, and here's what it's good for. And, for this person that, was quite new to the concept of, using wild plants as food, in their question, it was obvious that they didn't have, because this is why they're asking, they didn't have an idea or a concept of like, okay, that's great, that plant's good for that, but what do you do, right? So this is the kind of step 2 or part 2 that's equal to your journey in learning out about the plants, building your identification skills, your foraging techniques, is how to prepare them, how to use them. That is that simultaneous journey that you want to go down as you're going out on these plant walks.
And that's really how we came up with this class that we're offering this Sunday coming up, right, Malcolm?
Yeah.
Sunday, October 2nd, the complete medicine making class with Malcolm and I.
Yeah.
This is a 2-hour jam-packed workshop where we actually go through almost every method of preparing herbs
For sure.
that you might have foraged.
So all the way from teas to tinctures
Yeah.
to salves to vinegar extracts.
And making a magic potion can be really easy.
For sure.
But, this is also an amazing way to make gifts for your loved ones. Make delicious culinary dishes. We're going to be talking about culinary applications, like how to make infused vinegars. We're going to talk about perhaps cocktails, using tinctures in delicious cocktails. We are going to be talking about fermentation. We're going to be talking about Oh,
honey,
yeah.
sugar, and salt
Infused
extracts.
honeys. These are all ways to deliver the medicinal compounds into your body, and
Extract and deliver.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a delicious way.
So the great thing about this is because, okay, part one of your journey is getting out on plant walks, reading books, developing your knowledge around identification, starting to memorize the uses, experimenting yourself to get that experiential knowledge. But, part two is actually the easier part of it. It's just as fun and delicious and rewarding. But
Yeah.
once you learn the 7, 8, or 9 different extraction methods,
Yeah.
and then you can apply that to any plant, right? So depending on what the season is, what the plant is that you're harvesting, what you want from it, how you want to use it, will determine okay, yeah, I'm totally going to make this into a vinegar. I'm going to make this into a salve. And you have that skill at your back pocket. You're like, okay, I know how to do that. And then when you're on further plant walks, as you hear an instructor saying, okay, this plant can be used in, these types of ways, you're like, yep, get it. I know the technique. I know the method.
And a lot of people might actually find the plant walking path through the opposite direction, learning these herbal skills,
right,
empowering them with these recipes to create herbal healing products might actually be inspiring to them to start to go hunting for them in the wild.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I would argue that probably you and I came from it that way, right? Like
Exactly.
we were buying herbs, or we were buying that finished prepared item
And we started looking more local and started looking actually
to our own kitchens and creations of
Yeah.
okay, how can I, do that and turn that into my own
For
medicine?
me, it was always looking for mead ingredients. I was like, how can I make fantastic mead? And we have a lot of interesting flavors in the forest here. And yeah, if you come attend in person this Sunday, you'll get to taste a lot of these interesting flavors that you can get from the forest here.
Yeah, totally. So anyways, that's kind of a recap of, another great successful plant walk season. We are
Yeah.
done for kind of summer and autumn. There's always that likelihood we are going to offer, because this question comes up a lot. Like, was that the last? Did I miss out?
Yeah.
And for now, you did. Very possible we're going to offer, a plant walk in the winter. It's a little bit hard to kind of guarantee. Like, the plants are out there, we can still use them, but it's hard to guarantee all the conditions that make that right. So for sure, next spring, stay tuned. We're going to be back on the paths and taking you out there. And this will be the final medicine making workshop of the season, because they do kind of go hand in hand. So Sunday, October 2nd is your opportunity. If you want to join us, go to lateseller.ca.
These are such practical skills that are going to empower you to, really be able to take your health into your own hands with actually tasty things that it's going to guarantee you're going to take your medicine.
For sure. So whether you're joining us online or in person, you'll get the recipe booklet. You'll get access to the recording as well afterwards to review anytime.
And you'll most likely get a chuckle.
That's
You'll
right.
most likely get a chuckle.
That's almost guaranteed. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thanks everybody. And all the best on your wild food adventures.
Ciao.